Hey guys, so we are jumping on because we haven't done a video in a while, and I think the last one we did was before or after our second transfer, which we transferred 2 embryos, and that didn't work out. So we just did a third transfer on October 1st, and it's the 29th. So it's Halloween time and it's cold outside and I'm sick. And we did a transfer on the 1st, and I was pregnant. Yay! Yay! We told ourselves we'd celebrate the small things, so it was a small victory. So I was pregnant, and now I am currently going through a miscarriage and just kind of going through the whole process of it. But I don't know if we talked about that. Like, I had to have another hysteroscopy done between my second and third transfer because they found scar tissue, and pretty much like Dr. Folk thinks that I have endometriosis and whatnot. And so when I said I was pregnant, I was my HCG levels tested on the 11th at 136, which was pretty good. And then in between that and my second test, they didn't have me come in a couple days later because they said they were higher, so that was okay. But then on Thursday of that next week, right before I was supposed to get my next week's test, because I tested on the Friday prior, and then that Thursday I had started bleeding. And I started with a little bit of spotting, and then I had not like a huge bleed, but it was like
Clots.
I had some clots, and then I had it was more of a red rather than like a spotting or anything like that. So I called or got a hold of my nurse practitioner. I went in the next day to do my levels, and my levels were at 1300 at 1330, and so they had more than tripled. So at the time, they didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anything of it. We didn't think anything of it. But in the back of my head, and I think in the back of Chris's head, we still, we're very apprehensive when I am pregnant, just because we've been through this too many times. This is our 4th miscarriage, and we've had an ectopic pregnancy. So this is our 5th loss. And so we kind of know the role of things by now, where your HCG levels, if they start to go down and decline, it's kind of not a good sign. And so the nurse was like, we can set you up for the ultrasound next week for your 6-week ultrasound and make sure everything's going good and in the process. Or if you want some peace of mind, you can come in and test again on Monday or Tuesday. And just because I know my history, I wanted to test again. And I still was on my medications. I still was taking the progesterone and oil in the mornings and the suppositories at night and the estradiol on Tuesday and Friday, and the baby aspirin. Plus I did intralipid infusions. For those of you that are on my Instagram, that's what I was at the Intermountain Healthcare. It was something different this time, was the intralipid infusions, which take like 3.5 to 4 hours, where they just fill me with like fat, pretty much is what it is.
Good fat cells. Good
fat cells, because if I have natural killer cells in my body that are attacking the embryos or whatnot, that's kind of what it's supposed to help. So I was doing that, and I did antibiotic before for viruses in my uterus. If there was anything, it was like Doxy something that he had put me on, and then I also was on a Z-Pack. So there's a lot of things that we added into this round that I think helped contribute to the success of it.
When you were on Valium longer.
Yeah, I was on a higher dosage of Valium longer, and I was on it for 5 days rather than just like
So bed rest for 5 days.
The one prior to it, and it was a higher dosage of Valium. So I was pretty much like
zombified. Yeah,
in my bed. So there was a lot of things that we were doing on that side of things, like where it's just like, you just sit still and don't move. That's what I felt like. I just was kind of like, and it worked out because it was general conference weekend. And so it was like, I was going to be home anyway, so it was kind of nice. But, so we were very happy and grateful for the pregnancy. I think I think it is It is hard, but I think I had to have that just to give me some more hope, personally, because if I don't know if I told Chris I would have rather had the HCG levels be at
Negative.
0, but now, like, looking back, I think I had to have it just for sanity purposes. But we're now on a different spectrum because, like I said, I'm going through the miscarriage. I stopped my medications last Thursday because my levels went from 1300 to 600 to like 4 something, and then I test again tomorrow to make sure that they're zeroing out. And I've already started to like I saw my meds last Thursday. Today's Tuesday, and I've gone into another, like, we're going another route now. Like, we talked to Dr. Folk yesterday, and he pretty much told me, like, right now it's your uterus. Like, something in your uterus is not allowing the babies or the embryos to implant. And so for me, it's been really trying, because he told me, like, you know, there's some other stuff that we could do where I could keep trying to do it and just suppress my uterus completely for 3 months and take some medication, but I'll still probably have a complicated pregnancy, and I still could lose the baby at like 20 weeks, or, you know, so we're kind of taking a different path now. And so Chris and I have come to terms with going with, hopefully, looking for a gestational carrier, which a gestational carrier is different than a surrogate. A surrogate is where you use their eggs, but a gestational carrier, it's our embryos, so it's my egg, Chris's sperm, so it's our biological children, and then we just use someone else's uterus to carry the baby. So we're in that process right now, and we're starting to go that route just because I'm not against trying, and Chris knows that, but I think another loss would be really hard. Yeah, right? Like, we're just at that point where we kind of just want to have kids and want to have our kids. Like, we've gone through so much already that we're just ready to have our own kids. You talk. You need to say something. I have to blow my nose, so excuse me for 2 seconds while he does that.
No, like she was saying, though, we try to celebrate the little things. So, yeah, we were super excited about the blood tests coming back at the levels that they came back at. And I think that's why this one kind of hit harder, because it actually took. But like she said, we keep our emotions safe because of our past.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, and I don't know. So we actually went to a sealing of Chris's friend like a couple weeks, like right before I found out that I was pregnant. And while we were there, I was just crying. I was super overwhelmed because I had a feeling that it wasn't going to work out. And I think people thought I was crying because of the ceiling. Don't get me wrong, it was a beautiful ceiling, but I was crying because I was dealing with this own inner struggle. And I told Chris, like, I hope this is the wrong revelation, because I just felt very strongly that it's not going to work out. And so when we found out that I was pregnant, I was kind of like, well, you know, what's going on? And then now having this outcome, I understand, and I keep reverting back to that with, as far as like, you know, I'm not mad at God, and I don't blame him. I think it's hard because I do think this is a righteous desire that Chris and I have had, and in our faith, I feel like we try to do our best to live accordingly to the commandments and the plan that is set aside in our faith. And it's just been really hard for me to try to grasp, like, this is such a righteous desire. But every time I had any doubts during this process of the last 2 weeks of like this emotional roller coaster that we were going on with the HCG levels and kind of already knowing what the outcome was going to be, I would have peace at that moment, of going back to the temple, of like just sitting there thinking like he just sat there and telling me like I told you, you know. And I think it's really hard because it's not hard, it is hard. This is hard. This whole process is hard, but I feel like, okay, sorry, we had a phone call, but I think I've been more at peace with this one. Like, I don't know if I fully mourned everything, but I have had a lot more like comfort going back to those thoughts where I felt like Heavenly Father is like telling me, I know you, I know both of you, I know this is what you guys are trying to do, and I know that it's like a righteous desire. You know, like I feel like he's given me a lot of peace throughout this whole process, and I literally left like Carlini dog food in there, and they're still eating. But I just think I've had been a lot more at peace with this whole process, even though Heavenly Father, even though I feel like, so I don't want you guys, I'm not mad. I don't feel personally bad with Heavenly Father. I still feel like this is just the trial that we've been given, and it sucks, and I wouldn't wish it upon anybody, but we're learning, and we're trying to be proactive and figure out how we could, you know, rather than just sitting here saying, man, this sucks. Like, we've tried everything. We've gone to a doctor. We've done everything. I've tried to have the kids. I want to have the kids myself. And instead of being mad about it and angry about it, we're just being more proactive of like, okay, what's the next step? What do we take? Or what do we do now? I don't know about you or your feelings in this whole process. Chris is very introvert with his feelings.
Just here to support.
Yeah, but what are you like? Are you bad? Give your bad side view.
It's frustrating. And that's, you know, with having a knowledge of the gospel and the priesthood and stuff like that, and knowledge of like the afterlife and whatnot. But I don't know anybody that wouldn't be frustrated, you know, not so much with God or his plan, but just with the situation, especially if we've done like what we've been taught in the church is like, you know, it's as simple as the primary song, search, ponder, and pray, and I feel like we've done that, and we've sought out help.
Yeah.
And all that, so yeah, if I'm being honest, I am frustrated. And I don't know why I'm more frustrated with this one than I have been other ones, but yeah. It's just the cards we were dealt. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's what's been different for me is like I had my own moments of doubt throughout this process, like mainly through the first and second rounds where we went from like 1 embryo, for those of you that have followed our show, from 1 embryo to 10 embryos, and like I had that whole process of like, does God exist? Is he there? Is he listening? And so I've had my own moments of that in this whole process, and I think Chris was really strong at that time, and maybe now it's kind of the reverse role where, not saying that you're not strong or that you're not, but everybody's allowed to have their doubts when it comes to God and faith and testimony, and I think you have to find your own truth. And I just think for him right now, he's got to figure that out, right? Like, I don't think he's mad, and I don't think he's gonna go do anything like completely contrary to our beliefs. I just think he's trying to figure that out, and I'm just here to support and to try to help him along the way and try to like go about it prayerfully with the guidance, and just kind of make sure that he knows that I am supporting, because he had a really hard time last week. the day that we were told to stop our meds, like I could tell, I could sense it, that he was struggling. And I felt bad because I kind of was like up and at it, and here we go, and like, that's just how I react to things sometimes, and is I just jump right into, like, I got right into work, and I got busy in my work and stuff like that, and I told him, I said, I don't want you to feel like I'm not mourning, because I'm sure it's going to hit at some point in time. I will mourn, and I will be sad about this, and I am sad, because I have to come to terms that I possibly can't carry children. And I think that hits hard for women, especially women of our faith, which I told Chris from the time we're younger. We're talked to about that, about being a mother. And so not being able to do it, or at least right now in this period of my life, looking for other resources to do it, like a gestational carrier, it's kind of a hit. It hurts. Like, I know he wants me to be pregnant. I know he wants to see me pregnant. I want to see myself pregnant. But at the same time, I'm also willing to step back and say, okay, I can't control everything. I'm not in charge of everything. And look towards other options, because like this miscarriage has been really hard on my body. A lot harder than other ones. And I think it's maybe because of the extra hormones and stuff like that. But like, it's just hurt. Like, it's been really painful. And so I just told Chris, I said, I don't know if I can continue to put myself through this and not have a baby at the end. And so that's why we've turned towards looking at a gestational carrier, because we've already invested so much money into this, like almost $60,000, and the gestational carrier is going to be another additional cost. But to me, I'm like, we have good embryos. We have seven left. Yeah, we have 7 embryos left, and I just want to be able to, I don't know, make it happen, I guess, right? But that's just where we're at right now. It's hard. It is what it is. We can't change it. We are just trying our best to stay faithful throughout it and trying to maintain the hope. And going about the other process, I mean, we went and met today with the third-party representative through the clinic for the gestational carriers, and it's a whole new, like, whole new ball game that we're jumping into, like, legality-wise, financially, just lots.
Mentally.
Yeah, mentally, you have to do some psyche valves. Like, there's just lots of things that it's crazy, because I mean, it's going to be a whole new experience, I guess, that we get to go through and try and see how it works out and go from there. But I will say, when we found out the initial news that probably this wasn't going to work out, I was fortunate to have a recommend renewal. So I met with one of our leaders of our stake presidency, which is one of the leaders of our church, and both Chris and I felt that he kind of was just saying, like, be open to opportunities that are out there, and we kind of took that from there, and both of us left that meeting feeling very open about the gestational carrier at that time, because we knew that if this failed a third time, like, I could keep trying. But even after talking to Dr. Folk yesterday, for me, that was more confirmation of, like, you can keep trying, but let's get you a baby. Like, that was kind of his way of saying, like, let's look this way. And he's so cute because he's like, just look at it as someone's babysitting your baby for 9 months. And I'm like, okay. Like, I mean, I feel bad for the person and everything that they're going to go through. And I will be indebted in gratitude to whoever it is forever. We both will. But it's not like... Sorry. It's not like we didn't try or I didn't try, and that's what I have to accept is I did try. I tried and tried. And it's completely like I can't control my body or how my body functions. So that's just where we're at. We appreciate your guys' thoughts and your prayers. Like when we run into people and they sit there and they tell us that you guys are praying for us or you guys are thinking about us, we really appreciate that. Because Chris and I are we're very open with this because we felt that we needed to be, but we're actually very closed off people. And so, we appreciate it. And if you're going through this yourself, like infertility, I'm sorry, like it's a hard road and it sucks. It's a struggle. But I do believe that God has a plan for everybody, and we may not understand the plan at that time, and it may not be what we wanted, and it sucks because it's hard because it's a righteous desire to bear children, and it may not be what you wanted or how you wanted it, but what's important is where your heart is, I think, in the whole process of it, and I think he knows that and he's aware. And so, and it'll just make you appreciate it even more. Like, I think when we finally do have a kid, like, we're gonna be so, I don't want to say we're just gonna spoil it, but we're just gonna be so grateful for that child, or children, hopefully children, that we have. So, you have anything else? Are you sure? Positive? But thanks again for watching. That's just where we're at now. We'll keep you guys updated as the process goes along. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of relieved to be done with hormones for right now because I'm ready to just, I told him to take control of my body again, like to feel a little bit in control of my body. Can't control everything, but can control a little bit. So I just need a break from all of it. So that's where we're at. If you guys ever have questions or concerns or anything, as always, you can reach out. But thank you for your support and your love, and we appreciate it. Bye. Stop.